Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the brightly lit table of reviewing justice once again. Now, we've actually reviewed a product very similar to this before, so well, this probably doesn't require a whole lot of introduction. Today we are looking at, well, the L-988 from a company called Happy Companions. Well, that's a good start. It is basically a radio-like thing. Of course, it lets you listen to the radio, plus media stored electronically. So let's take a look at what's in the box. Instruction manual, entirely in Chinese. And, well, bubble wrap. And of course, the unit itself. Now, there are actually two other things that came with this device, but are not technically inside the box because it wouldn't fit. Well, we have this wall charger and a little USB cord. Now, I do want to actually mention something about this particular charger. Now, of course, if you've been following tech news, you'll know that some dangerous chargers are actually out for sale out there. Basically, they are made in not very good conditions and as a result might actually pose a safety risk. Well, this particular one shouldn't have such problems. I mean, it has the safety mark, which is a certification that actually comes from one of the Singaporean ministries. And here's the deal. This particular charger is apparently the same one that is distributed with iOS devices. That means your iPhones and your iPads. In fact, I've looked it up. For this particular safety mark registration number, it is the exact same number as that of those iOS chargers. The wording on this is also almost exactly the same, except it is missing one line which says, well, something along the lines of designed by Apple. I am extremely confused whether or not this is actually just something produced by the same manufacturer but without the Apple branding, or if this is a clever piece of forgery. It definitely feels very light, so, well, I don't really like the idea of that. And I mean, ultimately it is possible to actually forge basically any printing of this sort. So yeah, I'm kinda in two minds about this, whether or not it's safe. But I mean, I guess some amount of common sense does apply. If you doubt the safety of something, you can just use, well, some other means of charging that you trust better. In fact, that's what I have in mind. I'm actually going to use my phone charger. I mean, being a branded product is probably safer. Also, this doesn't actually come inside the box, so I'm not sure if the retailer just decided to, add it on of his own volition, or if it was something that is meant to come together. So yeah, lots of question marks, little questionable areas, but I'm not too concerned as long as I'm not actually using this charger. So I don't want this to be, more or less me saying the same things as the other review, so what I'm gonna do is we're gonna just give it a very quick once over and we'll talk about the sound quality. First thing you'll notice, giant speaker grille. Of course, most of the time the larger the speaker the better the sound, so this is boding well. The face of it has a whole bunch of buttons, as well as a little mode switch, which arguably is the most important button. On the side, not much, volume control, on off, LED, as well as your power source. Now this is where it gets interesting. At the back, we have this grille here, which I have no clue what it's for, because if you actually look carefully into the grille, well, it's actually sealed, so I have no idea why this is there. Also, you have this battery compartment, except when you slide it open, it is some kind of proprietary battery pack. Now, I'm not entirely sure if this is actually used in any other device. I haven't actually looked this up, but well, let's hope it doesn't blow up. So I looked this up. Apparently, this battery is used by some older Nokia phones. In fact, what you're seeing on screen is a photo of my own old Nokia phone. Also, as it turns out, apparently a large batch of batteries with this BL5C branding was recalled by Nokia at one point of time. So, continuing on the other side, nothing except a lanyard that actually comes with the device itself. Nothing below as well. At the top, that's where all the interesting things happen. Well, you got your antenna, and you've got a USB port, microSD slots, as well as your earphones jack. So how does this work? well, exactly as you would expect, switch it on, and if you have nothing connected, it goes straight to radio mode. Some pretty cool features that are available on this device is you can actually enter a radio station like this using the numbers, and it'll actually jump to the radio station in question. Now, I do have it muted at the moment because I don't want to get any copyright strikes, but yeah, I think this is enough to actually show you that, well, it works very nicely. I thought this was a pretty nice touch to be able to just enter the station numbers and go straight to the station. Of course, you can also have a whole bunch of programs that you can scroll through using left and right. You can also enter a program number and, well, give it a while and it will jump to that particular program. So, generally speaking, somewhat more user-friendly than the other device we've seen. We also have a pretty nice LED display, so you will not have issues actually seeing this at night. So let's move on to the interesting part, which is of course, getting media off your thumb drives. So alright, let us actually test the MP3 playback functionality. I have here an 8GB flash drive. Now, the last time I did a review of a similar device, I actually had a problem because normally I have this flash drive formatted as an NTFS drive, and well, that particular device did not read the thumb drive. Now, I've tried it out with this guy and the same applies. This unit only reads FAT32 thumb drives. So, well, if you're gonna be actually doing something like this, well, that's one point to note. Anyway, let's switch it on now. And as you can see, it actually goes straight to MP3 playback. Of course, if you want to switch back to the radio mode, you can just press the mode button and, well, you go back to radio. Of course, well, all the tracks I have on here are actually royalty-free music from the Incompetech library, which means, of course, this will not get me sued. Let's actually turn up the volume and hear what this sounds like. So right, let us very quickly talk about the sound quality here. The sound quality is actually pretty good. Because of the fact, I guess, that it has a large speaker, the bass sounds really there. It's very present. You don't get that kind of tinny kind of feel. In addition to that, you can actually crank this up really loud, even though there seems to be a little bit of weird distortion issues when you really crank it up. Also, fast forwarding actually works like a charm. You saw me do it a couple of times already, but as long as you hold down the button, you zip through the track really quickly. I also don't know what I just done. Apparently there are some pretty interesting modes here that I actually haven't been exploring with. Well, this little mistake, this missed button press actually, well, very nicely leads me on to the next thing I want to say, and that is, of course, well, the fact that you cannot see MP3 titles. All you get is pretty much an arbitrary track number like what you're seeing right now, so that's not very ideal. Now, it took me a lot of experimentation to find out where this track number actually comes from, and it turns out it's based on the order in which the files are added. Except, if you actually grab a whole bunch of files and you drag and drop the lots, well, they aren't necessarily saved in the order you expect. They're saved in some kind of random order. I guess this is just, the order in which, well, your computer decides to write it onto the flash drive. If you actually want to enforce some kind of strict ordering to your track numbers, what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to drag in the files one by one, and that is less than ideal. However, well, it looks like by pressing and holding the play button, you can enter a folder mode. I have no idea what this means right now, so, well, I'm gonna actually take a few minutes and set up some folders inside this flash drive, and we'll see how, well, the device responds to that. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, these are my findings. Now, I have 12 tracks inside this flash drive, and I've actually created 3 folders. The first folder has 6 tracks, the second folder has 3, and the last folder has another 3. So basically, well, you realize that now I'm in the first folder and I can only skip through the first 6 tracks. Now I can jump to the other folder by actually pressing say 8 because of course 7, 8, 9 is in the next folder. So well, once this track loads up, I can only scrub through 7, 8 and 9. Similarly, if I go to track 12, then I will be stuck in that particular folder, like so. Interesting little feature. Definitely from an organizational standpoint, well, you have things a little bit better than if this function didn't exist. Of course, as you've seen just now, you press and hold the play button to actually cycle the repeat modes. Obviously, this is repeat all, this is repeat 1, and this is repeat within that particular folder. Another feature you've seen me use is you can actually jump to a particular track by just keying in the number. This is a good feature to have, definitely much better than just having back and forwards. So yeah, that's pretty much every feature that, well, this device has. Let us actually go ahead and wrap things up. This device is indeed quite a bit better than the other one we've reviewed. I mean, both in terms of sound quality as well as user experience, because of course, all these buttons make interacting with the device a lot more convenient. Having said that though, the same huge problem actually remains with this device, and that is the fact that, well, you cannot see MP3 names. What this means is you're gonna have to have an external compilation of what numbers correspond to what song. Unfortunately, that is a huge inconvenience that, well, you kinda cannot work around. However, all other things considered, this is a pretty decent device. I mean, this was sold at a roadside stall for $20, so that's actually, well, not too bad of a deal, especially since the audio quality is actually pretty good. I haven't talked much about the FM. Of course, the radio features are decent. You can get pretty good reception, even indoors. And of course, the sound, well, sounds as good as radio quality is gonna get. Now, I cannot really say anything for the battery life because I haven't used it that much yet. But since it is a rechargeable battery, well, at least you don't have to actually worry about, going out and getting alkaline batteries. Anyway, that pretty much wraps it up for this review. I don't think I've missed anything of importance. I know I mentioned the other review a couple of times, so, well, if I haven't already, I'll try to put an annotation on screen so you can actually click and watch that other review. Anyway, that wraps it up for this episode. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, you're watching 0612 TV. Hello! If you enjoyed this video, don't forget I appreciate every like, favorite, and comment you give me. If you'd like to see more from me in the future, don't forget to subscribe. For more updates outside of YouTube, do follow my official Twitter account at 0612 TV. And if you'd like to see more of my work, you can also check out my About Me page. Once again, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, you're watching 0612 TV.